Some days are good and some
Clean Getaway by Nick Stone. Chapter 13. A Bad Omen. Scoob spends the next hour and a half doodling in the margins of his map while Gmal's favorite band, Earth, Wind and Fire, croons them into the unknown, for Scoob at least. Then Gmal signals to exit the interstate again. "One more drive-by pit stop, then on to Vicksburg for refreshments," she says. Scoob just sighs and puts a little star over Vicksburg as they ease to a stop at the top of the exit ramp. "This time, I think I'll tell you where we're headed," she continues, lowering the volume of Boogie Wonderland. The song always makes him think of penguins. The waddly, cold-weather creatures sang and danced to it, one of Scoob's favorite movies. "I don't think we'll get out once we get there, 'cause we need to mosey on," Gmal continues. "But I know if we drove through Jackson without me finally seeing this place, I'd regret it forever." "Is that where we are?" Scoob replies, spotting it on his map. "Mm-hmm. Good old Jackson, Mississippi. Your G-Pop and I attempted to take this detour 51 gosh darn years ago. Can you believe that?" Scoob can't, but he doesn't say so. "There was a man back then, Medgar Evers, fought for this country in World War II, then came home to fight for Negro rights. Real good fella," she says. "Now, I'll be honest with you, Scooby-Doob. Your old Gmal had her head in the clouds when your G-Pop and I attempted this trip. We began our courtship in 1961, but were together 6 years before we tied the knot, because it wasn't legal for whites and blacks to marry until 67. There was a couple in Virginia who'd been convicted for a crime for marrying, and your G-Pop wasn't willing to take the risk of marrying in secret," she says. "But when the Supreme Court overturned those dumb laws across the nation, don't think I'd ever been so happy." Scoob grins. Not everyone was, though. She hangs a right into a neighborhood and then follows a short curve around to a street on the left. "Your G-Pop and I tied the knot at a courthouse, and the civil rights movement was gaining momentum, but racial tensions were high." And she stops, driving and talking. Scoob follows her gaze to the house across the street. Parts of it are painted a blinding turquoise color, and there's a plaque on the brick part, but he can't see from this distance. Looks like there's also a plaque in the front yard. Gmal hasn't said a word, or moved. She's just staring. That's when Scoob notices something's off about the structure itself. He looks at the house next door, and then at the one whose curb they're idling beside. It hits him. "There's no front door," he says. "Entrance is in the carport," Gmal murmurs without pulling her eyes away. "Oh, weird." "Had it built that way 'cause they thought it'd be safer," she says. "Who thought it'd be safer? And safer for what?" "Safer for the family," she says. "This was Medgar Evers' home, Scooby-Doob, the man I mentioned." "Oh, okay," Scoob says. Is he supposed to say more? "I can't believe." Scoob waits for her to go on. "I don't know what to say," she says. Apparently Scoob doesn't either. "Go in my box. It's in the cabinet above the kitchenette sink, and hand me the radio that's in there." Okay. Scoob gets out of his seat to do as she asked, though what Gmal could need an old radio for, he's not sure. There's no way the thing actually works. He's quick to hand it over when he gets back to the cab, though, because what little color Gmal has had disappeared from her face like she's seen something Scoob can't at the house with no front door. A ghost? "Gmal, are you okay?" She doesn't answer, just unscrews what Scoob assumed was an antenna to reveal a clear spout, which she then puts to her mouth before turning the radio upside down to drink from it. "Whew!" she says after a good few gulps. She squeezes her eyes shut and her head and shoulders quiver. Forgot how much that burns. Burns? Scoop's known G-Ma going on 12 years and has never seen her drink anything other than water and unsweet tea with a quarter of lemon squeezed over the top. There's no way she's drinking. G-Ma, is that alcohol? Bourbon. It was your G-Pop's favorite. Scoob's dumbfounded. And this was his flask, she continues, holding up the radio. Wait, but Scoob's got so many questions, he's not sure which one to ask first. What's a flask? Why's that one shaped like a radio? Since when does G-Ma drink? The thing he says, what you just drank was 50 years old? She bursts out laughing and doesn't stop. For like 2 minutes. Solid. Scoob literally watches the clock. At least the color returns to her face, though. The tears leaking from her eyes are running down very pink cheeks now. She eventually takes a breath. Good Lord, haven't laughed like that in years, and boy, did I need it. Scoob exhales. He doesn't know how much more of this he can take. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank for being here and being you. I'm William, G-Ma, Scoob mumbles. I just can't believe we're here. That I'm here. The house is right there. She shakes her head again. After all these years. And now Scoob really can't take any more. G-Ma, I don't mean to be rude, but where is here? And what is that house? And why are we here? Now, in front of it. That house is a piece of history, Scoob-a-Doob. So she does remember who he is. It was built to house Medgar Evers' family. Medgar was known for helping black folks get registered to vote back in the day. Also drew national attention to the horrible crime committed against the Till boy, Emmett. He was killed just a few hours north of here. Now she got Scoob's attention. He knows all about Emmett Till because Dad gave him a lecture after the academic defraudment scandal. Said as a black boy, even if Scoob claims he's not doing anything wrong, the moment someone white says he is, he's in trouble. He used Emmett Till as an example, and despite the fact that it happened so long ago, the story shook Scoob down to his bones, especially when Dad told him Emmett really hadn't done anything wrong, and the men who did the true wrongdoings, his killers, got off scot-free. Medgar was shot down dead, right there in the driveway, G-Ma says, shoving Scoob out of his musings with so much force his head swims. Huh? House has no front door, because the family thought it'd be safer if the entrance was in the carport. But even that didn't protect Medgar. He was shot as he got out of his damn car. Wow. And it took 30 years for the man who did it to see any jail time. Scoob is speechless. I wanted to come here before, G-Ma continues. I knew we'd be passing through. Had it circled on my map before we started the trip. Jimmy and I were together when we heard about Medgar's murder, and it hit me how much danger your G-Pop was in by existing. It's the moment I knew I wanted to marry him. Scoob just shakes his head. He feels like he's getting punched from multiple angles and can't figure out where to block. Then her chin gets to trembling. It was all my fault, she says as the tears begin to roll. She stretches the alcoholic radio out and he takes it, shoves it in the glove box. She keeps going. I was driving and determined to have my way, even though Jimmy said coming by here'd be a bad omen. He'd fallen asleep, so I went ahead and took the exit. Didn't get a quarter mile before a highway patrol car pulled me over. She shakes her head. I remember like it was yesterday. Jimmy piped up to ask why we were stopping, and I yelled at him to hush and stay hidden. I knew if those officers saw him with me, they'd come up with a reason to cart him off to jail. The sun was starting to dip in the sky, and I'll never forget it, because as the officer stepped up to the RV, there was one on each side, I wondered if it was the last sunset I'd ever see with your G-Pop. Scoob swallows hard. Was this a sundown town? He'd seen the term in the Green Book and knew it referred to places where black people could be killed just for being there after dark, and no one would bat an eyelash. I'm not entirely sure, but it's likely. Man, I hate this world sometimes. It's his first time ever expressing it aloud. Me too, Scooby-Doob. Those officers started asking questions, and I could tell they were suspicious. Jimmy wasn't the only contraband I had on board. Contraband? They let us, go, but I was real shaken up. To this day, I feel like all the terrible stuff that came after was because of me. If I hadn't taken that exit, we'd have never gotten pulled over, and I wouldn't have been in such a terrible state. We wouldn't have had to turn around. I'd have been fine, Jimmy. We'd have made it. Scoob's too nervous to correct her this time. He does think they should get away from here, though. We really should go, G-Ma, he says. His eyes latch on the glove box, where the radio is sitting like a bourbon-filled brick. Stuff doesn't even sound tasty. Are you okay to drive? Because he obviously can't. She stares at the Evers house. Scoob's not even sure she heard him. G-Ma. Fine, we're going. She puts the RV in gear, and it jerks forward, making Scoob's stomach somersault up into his throat. Between everything she told him and her white knuckles on the wheel, Scoob wonders if G-Pop was right. Maybe coming here was a bad omen.
Some days are good and some